thunder pierces night, as magic wonder mad of fright.
You know that dinner scene. A table full of adults suddenly starts singing a Harry Belafonte song that they've never heard and they can't stop. The shrimp are grabbing people's faces, and the man responsible is a rotting, striped suit ghost who stopped caring about anything a long time ago. That's, of course, Beetlejuice, a $15 million film that nobody believed in. Not the cast, not the studio, not even Tim Burton himself. And yet it broke box office records, won an Oscar, and became one of the most beloved cult classics ever made. Today we're counting down 20 crazy facts you probably didn't know about Beetlejuice. But before we do that, make sure that you like and subscribe for more content like this. Now let's get into it. Number 20. Before Gina Davis played Barbara Maitland, director Tim Burton wanted Kirstie Alley for the role. She was a big star on Cheers at the time, but the producers wouldn't let her out of her TV contract, and because of that, she lost the role. It then went to Gina Davis, the only cast member who said yes immediately without hesitation.
You don't have to kill anybody!
Possession, good. Learn to throw your voice, fool your friends, fun and party.
Davis played Barbara as a warm and grounded emotional anchor of the entire film. The following year, she appeared in The Accidental Tourist and walked away with an Academy Award for Best Supporting Actress. One contract clause blocked one actress, which opened the door for another and led straight to the Oscars. Number 19. Glenn Shadix played Otho Fenlock, Delia's dramatic and proud interior designer, and he gave his all to the role, performing it completely serious. His work made Otho one of the most unforgettable characters, and he was so proud of his work on Beetlejuice that he said in 2008, "We had so much fun filming this unusual and so very original movie that I had a feeling something very special was happening." In September of 2010, he passed away after falling ill at home in Alabama at the age of 58. During his memorial service, the last song played was Harry Belafonte's Deo, the Banana Boat song. This was the same song featured in the dinner party scene that made his character in Beetlejuice so famous. It was a perfect tribute to an actor who had fully appreciated his role and never stopped cherishing them.
Mr. Tallyman, tally me banana.
Number 18. That moment at the end of the Deo scene when the shrimp hands shoot up from the table to grab the dinner guests' faces was hard to film. Crew members had to sit under the table and operate the mechanical hands, but they couldn't see the actors above them at all. This would lead to a lot of mistakes, like the hands poking the actors in the face by accident, grabbing at the wrong times, and ruining the shot. And nothing seemed to go as planned. The fix came from Dick Cavett, the veteran television show host, sitting right there at the table, playing Art Agent Bernard. Cavett suggested they film the hands releasing the guest faces and then played the footage in reverse. Burton implemented it immediately, and the sequence was then complete. Cavett later admitted he wasn't entirely sure whether the reverse shot or a conventional take made the final cut, but he likes to think that it was his. Number 17. Before Winona Ryder was ever considered for Lydia Dietz, the role was declined by several stars, including Molly Ringwald, Brooke Shields, and more. The script was considered too dark and uncommercial to risk a career on, and that says everything about how the industry perceived Beetlejuice at the time, so a lot of established names looked at it and walked away. The final choice came down between two people, Winona Ryder, who was 17, and Alyssa Milano, who was 16. Burton chose Ryder after seeing her in the 1986 film Lucas, a small indie film that barely anyone watched, but that showed him exactly the quality of interior gravity that Lydia needed.
What do you look like under there?
Aren't you scared?
I'm not scared of sheets. Are you gross under there?
Ryder went directly from Beetlejuice to Heathers, and then on to Edward Scissorhands and Bram Stoker's Dracula. Number 16. Michael Keaton didn't fully make up Beetlejuice on his own. He had a guide, and it came from a character from a 1980s horror movie. Keaton took ideas from Chop Top Sawyer, a wild Vietnam veteran played by Bill Moseley in Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2 from 1986. Chop Top was jittery, switched tones while talking, and didn't care about social rules, and Keaton used those traits to shape his own character, a ghost who had been dead so long that he stopped caring about how he acted. Burton described Beetlejuice to Keaton as someone who had lived in every time period but no time period, and Keaton took Chop Top's frenetic qualities and built the character on top of it. 14 years later, he co-starred with Mosley in the HBO film Live from Baghdad, almost 15 years after using his performance as raw material.
Hell, I'll possess myself if I gotta. Whoa! Yo, I got demons running all through me. All through me. Come on down here and see it.
Number 15. Beetlejuice was made for about $15 million, which was considered a small budget even in 1988. Only $1 million had been set aside for visual effects, and the director Tim Burton wanted the effects to look simple and cheap on purpose, as a way to remind people of old B movies that he loved as a kid. Warner Brothers didn't have a whole lot of faith in the film, the cast didn't really get it, and even Burton wasn't sure about one of the most famous scenes.
Just say it! No!
No!
You! Say it!
And when Beetlejuice opened during Easter weekend of 1988, it broke the record for the highest box office earnings that weekend. The movie ended up making more than $73 million around the world. Beetlejuice helped Winona Ryder become a big star, leading to roles in movies like Heathers and Edward Scissorhands. For the director, the success of Beetlejuice would open the door to make Batman only a year later. The movie inspired an animated TV show, a stage musical, and a sequel that was set to come out in 2024. It's impressive for a film that the cast and crew thought might end up being a big failure. Number 14. After Beetlejuice's massive success, Warner Brothers wanted a sequel immediately, and Tim Burton wanted nothing to do with it. His method of killing the project became deliberate. He pitched the most absurd concept he could imagine. The Dietz family opens a tropical resort on an ancient Hawaiian burial ground. Beetlejuice has to save the day by winning a surfing contest. Burton expected the studio to reject it as too ridiculous even for one of his films, and what he underestimated was just how much studios love a familiar title attached to anything, no matter how rubbish it is. They loved it, and writer Jonathan Gems was hired. Keaton and Ryder both expressed willingness to return, and the project entered active development, attracted multiple rewrites, and in the end, it never got anywhere.
Not so fast, brown boy. We're gonna have some laughs.
Number 13. Catherine O'Hara met her future husband on the set of Beetlejuice, and Tim Burton was responsible for making it happen. Production designer Bo Welch was talking to O'Hara every day, but never asked her out, and O'Hara eventually went to Burton and told him the situation. Burton went to Welch and told him to do it, and so, upon Tim Burton's advice, he actually did. He asked her out, and they went on a date, and then they were married in 1992. They remained together for more than 3 decades, and every set that Delia Dietz reacts to in that film, every wall and piece of furniture and production choice was created by the man that she would spend the rest of her life with. He had built the world, she found him inside of it, and it took Tim Burton nudging them both to make it happen.
Open this door, you dead people, or we'll bust it down and we'll drag you out by the ropes you hanged yourself with.
Number 12. Michael Keaton's famously broken squash nose as Beetlejuice was never built from a nose prosthetic. The makeup artists explained they didn't have the budget for a custom nose piece, and the solution was to use 2 fake lip pieces, which were molds made to look like swollen lips. She glued one to each side of Michael Keaton's real nose to make it look crooked and worn. It was a quick idea they came up with because they didn't have enough money for a special nose piece, and it ended up becoming one of the most famous makeup looks in Hollywood history. The illusion was so well done that it looked perfect. The film won the Academy Award for Best Makeup in 1989, partly because of this clever trick. Most viewers would never even notice it, even if someone told them. It's crazy to think that one of the most famous character looks in movies came from using the wrong piece of makeup. Number 11. 3 years before she played Morticia Addams in The Addams Family, Anjelica Huston was supposed to play Delia Dietz. Her dark and striking look made her a great match for the role. She seemed like the perfect fit, but she got very sick before filming began and had to drop out completely. That's when the role went to Catherine O'Hara, who initially said no. Burton flew out to meet her in person, persuading her to say yes. According to one account, she had drove to the wrong Warner Brothers location entirely and had to be redirected before the meeting even began. The role that Huston lost ended up changing O'Hara's life in big ways.
Why are you doing this to me? This is my art, and it is dangerous. You think I want to die like this?
It gave her one of the most famous performances and led to her meeting the man she would later marry. Number 10. Geena Davis was the only member of the Beetlejuice cast who said yes immediately, and everyone else turned it down. Michael Keaton, Winona Ryder, Catherine O'Hara, Sylvia Sidney all said no, but Tim Burton had to call personally and beg. He even flew to Toronto to meet Catherine O'Hara in person and change her mind. Producer David Geffen stepped in to help and set up the meeting that finally got Michael Keaton to agree. And when you think about it, all the effort it took just to bring the cast together is pretty amazing. Every important person who made the movie so great first turned it down after reading the script.
Beetlejuice, Beetlejuice, Beetlejuice!
Oh, no!
Why are you doing this? Leave me alone, all of you!
It only exists because they were convinced to change their minds, even though their first reaction was completely different. Number 9. If you look closely at the seance scene when Beetlejuice arrives wearing a carousel hat on his head, on top of the carousel, barely visible, is a small white skull with bat wings. That skull is Jack Skellington, 5 years before The Nightmare Before Christmas would be released in 1993. Tim Burton had already put his character on screen inside of another film. He had been developing the Skellington concept since 1982 when he first sketched the character as a Disney animator. The fact that he quietly embedded a future project inside of a current one became something of a signature habit throughout his career.
A monument to the boy businessman. Come on a little closer. Step right up. Test your strength.
Most people watching never realized what they were seeing. Looking back now, one of the most famous stop-motion characters in movie history first appeared on top of a ghost's funny hat in a live-action spooky comedy. Number 8. When Netflix launched its mail-order DVD service in 1998, the first disc that they shipped to a paying customer was Beetlejuice. This was the film that the entire cast thought would end their careers, that the studio wanted to rename, and the film whose director doubted his own best scene. It opened the doors of what would eventually become the world's largest entertainment platform. Netflix maintained its DVD mailing service all the way to 2023, a full 25-year run, shipping a staggering 5.2 billion discs in red envelopes across more than 500 subgenres. Every single one of those deliveries traces its origin back to a copy of Beetlejuice dropping through someone's letterbox. Number 7. In an earlier draft of the script, Lydia Dietz, who spends the entire film drawn to death, bonding with ghosts and talking openly about dying, was going to get exactly what she seemed to want. The original ending had her dying in a fire and joining the Maitlands as a ghost permanently. Given that Lydia was a massive goth icon to teenagers of the era, the implications of that ending were deeply uncomfortable. Co-writer Larry Wilson would question the call, wondering if it was really a good idea, and if that was the message they wanted to send to teenagers of the world. The ending would be changed to show Lydia dancing on the ceiling, happy and alive, after doing great on her math test. The joyful moment directly opposed the earlier version of the story. The ceiling dance is there because the first draft had Lydia dying, but this version celebrates her life instead.
Jump in the line, rock your body and time. Okay, I believe you. Jump in the line, rock your body chime.
Number 6. You may not know it, but the original dinner party sequence actually called for a 1939 R&B track called If I Didn't Care by the Ink Spots. A later draft had Lydia's final floating scene set to When a Man Loves a Woman, and rights to the songs the production wanted kept climbing, and according to Geffen Company development exec Marjorie Lewis, the prices went up every time a rights holder heard David Geffen's name attached to the project. It was Catherine O'Hara who suggested switching to Calypso to pick up the energy, and Jeffrey Jones who specifically named Deo. Harry Belafonte agreed to use the track after a brief phone conversation with Geffen, saying simply that he liked the idea of Beetlejuice and agreed to do it. After all the challenges, the budget fights, and the crew poking actors in the face from under the table, the scene was finished. The reverse filming trick, inspired by Dick Cavett, had worked, and Tim Burton watched it and didn't think it was funny and that it would fail, but he ended up being wrong. Number 5. The first version of Beetlejuice, written by Michael McDowell, was a dark and scary film with a very little humor, and in this version, Beetlejuice was not funny, but a winged evil creature. Instead of trying to marry Lydia, he attacked her. The The way the Maitlands died was also shown in a much more gruesome way, with Barbara's arm getting crushed while they slowly drowned in their car. There was even a second child, a 9-year-old girl named Kathy, whom Beetlejuice hurt during the story's climax. Even the dinner party scene was more dark. Instead of a fun calypso dance, the original script had something scary, describing a spasmodic, frantic dancing that ended in chaos. Guests slammed into walls and flew into the ceiling, and Wes Craven would be the studio's first choice to direct it. But when Tim Burton came on board and Warren Scarron was brought in to rewrite, the tone shifted entirely. All of the scary elements fell away, and the comedy took over, and the winged demon who assaulted a teenager became a fast-talking striped suit ghost with the most. Number 4. Michael Keaton appears in only 17 minutes of this 92-minute film. He shot all of his scenes in approximately 2 weeks. By his own estimation, about 90% of everything he said was made up on the spot. The script had given him a loose structure, but when it came to actual words coming out of Beetlejuice's mouth, Keaton was almost entirely free to do whatever he wanted.
Whoa, hey, what are you doing? Hey, stop it! Hey, you're messing up here! Come on! Whoa! Whoa! Stop it! Whoa!
The famous qualifications monologue with Juilliard, Harvard, and more was totally improvised. The line "save that guy for later," delivered while spitting a loogie into his jacket, was improvised, and Alec Baldwin confirmed the reaction that you see on his face during the moment as being genuine. When Keaton first came to the set in full costume, the crew began chanting "Juice, juice, juice," and this was when the character finally clicked in for him. Keaton has gone on record as saying Beetlejuice was his favorite role. He loves it even more than Batman or anything else that he's done. Number 3. Alec Baldwin told GQ exactly what he thought during the entire production of Beetlejuice. He said that he had no idea what it was about, and he thought that his career was going to end with the release of the film. He described Burton on set as a kind of crazy professor, brilliant but completely unpredictable. He recalled how Burton would sit at a desk drawing characters and never once look up at the actors, and the only thing that gave Baldwin confidence was watching Michael Keaton work. He said that Michael Keaton was like the comedy Annie Oakley and so self-assured that he just tore it up. And so, in his uncertainty, he decided to play Adam Maitland with complete sincerity, no irony, and no winking at the screen. That straight-faced commitment is the emotional foundation that the film rests on. The man who thought he was making a disaster gave it the one thing that made everything else work.
You want a cigarette?
Oh, no, thank you.
I'm trying to cut down myself.
Number 2. Burton's original vision for Beetlejuice had nothing to do with Michael Keaton because he wanted Sammy David Jr. An earlier draft of the script had written the character specifically as an African-American man, making the casting choice a natural extension of the material itself. The studio wasn't keen on the idea, and it didn't go forward. It would be producer David Geffen who suggested Keaton. Burton had never seen his work and had to be convinced to take the meeting. Keaton then turned the role down more than once before eventually saying yes. The list of names in contention before Keaton was remarkable. They included Robin Williams, Dudley Moore, Sam Kinison, and others. Even Arnold Schwarzenegger was picked to choose the role of Beetlejuice. That's right, the character that's inseparable from Michael Keaton nearly belonged to the Terminator. Number 1. Warner Brothers' marketing department hated the title Beetlejuice, arguing that audiences would have no idea what it meant and pushed hard for a replacement title, House Ghosts. Tim Burton was not impressed and sarcastically suggested Scared Sheetless as a joke. It was a bad pun about the scene where the Maitlands wear bed sheets to scare the Dietzes. He thought the studio would reject it right away, but instead, they actually liked the idea. The studio almost used that name. Tim Burton was horrified by it all and even joked that he would jump out of a window before allowing it to happen. Burton stood firm and refused to allow the change, and in the end, the title Beetlejuice stayed. For a movie all about being weird and unique, Scared Sheetless would have been a terrible choice, and thankfully, the mistake never happened. The name actually comes from the star Beetlejuice, a giant red star in the Orion constellation, and it's one of the brightest in the night sky. What was your favorite moment in Beetlejuice? Be sure to let me know in the comments down below. Also, smash that like button if you enjoyed this video, and don't forget to subscribe so that you never miss when we upload another great video like this. If you have any recommendations, be sure to let me know. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.